the reasons why I'm really excited to be hosting tonight is because this is unlike anything that we've ever done up to this point, which is really exciting. So, what do I mean by that? Well, first, let me start out by introducing myself. My name is Jamil Frazier. I live in Long Beach, California, and I'm a dad. I'm a friend. I'm a lover of people. I am a certified Optavia coach. And I'm so excited to be with the group tonight because we were speaking about a week ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, and we were thinking, what would be amazing to bring to the community, and we started thinking, okay, well, we have Father's Days that's coming up, and we've never actually spent time um, speaking specifically to dads and specifically to men and specifically to husbands. And we said, you know what? Why don't we do a tribute to fathers then? Why don't we do a tribute to dads and we really just get together, we lean in as men, and we speak about some of the things that men and dads are really feeling, and some of the things that are kind of going through their heads. And why don't we bring solutions to the marketplace? So if we know that there's people that are out there that are feeling this way and they're stuck like I was 7 years ago, and we have a solution or an answer to many of these problems, then why don't we just throw together a webinar and we really put it out there so that dads can get on and just speak from a male's point of view. So we've never done this before. We've done hundreds of webinars. I've done tons of speaking engagements. I've spoken to many, many people, but we've never done it from a standpoint of a male's perspective. We certainly have not had a panel of all men before. So that's why I'm so excited about tonight and the cast of characters that we have on tonight. You're going to hear stories from four tremendous men that I think, all of them, and you'll hear it straight from their mouth, but all of them at one point in time were maybe at a point in their life to where things weren't going as well as they wanted to. And I think all of them would agree that probably to some degree, they kept that a secret, right? And it was frustrating as heck. And then they started a program, which I'll get into towards the end of this call. And they started on this unique journey to where these things started shifting in their lives. And then they can start to show up in their households, at their workspaces, as the men and the fathers and the dads that they wanted to be. So I'm so excited for tonight. So sit back and relax. It's not going to be stuffy. If you want to take some notes, take some notes. Our intentions are for you to, one, leave this call understanding if you are at a space to where you felt like any of us, there is a solution. My intentions is by the end of the call to effectively and efficiently explain how our program works to a certain degree. And then to give you a glimpse into the life of what an Optavia coach does. So I'm so excited. So sit back and relax. If you want to share this with someone right now, go on and invite them to the Discover Health and Hope Facebook group page that we have right now. So many of you guys are already streaming on live from Facebook itself. Do me a favor, go on and share that right now. Press that share button and share it to 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are on your heart and that could stand to listen to this message. My personal belief is, each one teach one, each one help one, at least one. And we've helped literally thousands of people over the past 7 years that I've been part and really focused on this mission. So why don't we all band together and help someone? So I'll kind of kick the show off, and then I'll move to some of these guys who are a little bit more handsome and more educated than I am. And then, and then we'll sort of explain how this whole thing happens and how these people go through these amazing metamorphoses. So like I said, I started really 7 years ago at a place to where I wasn't looking for a solution like this. I think if you would have told me 7 years ago that I'd be in the place that I am right now, I probably would have laughed at you. Not only would I have laughed at you, I would have talked behind your back because that was the kind of guy that I was. And I don't know if you guys have friends, but Do any of you guys have friends that they tend to complain about everything? If that's you, then if you're listening on Facebook, just drop a 1 in the comment section or in the chat. But I was that guy. And sometimes I talk to my friends now and I say, how did you guys put up with me and my pessimistic attitude and my negative attitude and my woe is me? And if we were friends, in a matter of 20 minutes, I could efficiently and effectively tell you all the problems of my life. And the big thing was, I would convince you that none of those problems were because of me. It would have been because of my marriage, because of my wife, because of my son, because of my boss, my job, the weather, the traffic. Every single thing at that point in time came from a negative standpoint. And I think that I got to that place because I was frustrated and I didn't know how to get out. See, I went to college the way that I thought I was supposed to. Growing up, I was an athlete. I played football, I ran track. I got a football scholarship. I graduated top of my class. And yet, at 30, 31 years old, I was 30 to 40 pounds overweight. I was in a marriage that I didn't want to be in. I was frustrated because I felt like at that age, right around 30 years old, I felt like my friends were starting to extend past me. And any of you men ever feel that way as you're looking around and you're seeing, some of your buddies that you grew up with, and it just seems like they're purchasing their first homes. Seems like their marriage is a heck of a lot more loving than yours. It just seems like they don't have as many problems as you do. And so that was me. And I was frustrated. I was tired all the time. At that point in my life, I had just transitioned from pharmaceutical sales rep, working for Johnson & Johnson, and moved into a medical consulting role. And because my weight was so out of control, because my habits were out of control, and because I literally became comfortable with having a dad bod, men, don't we say that? Like as soon as we get 30, 35, 40, all of a sudden it's okay to have a dad bod. Well, that's where I was. And I was literally finding the same tree every single day to take a nap. And my boss would be calling me, Jamil, where are you at? Are you in the field? Are you visiting physicians? And I'm napping from 1 to 2:15 every single day just to try to get enough energy to last me through the end of the day. So this was really my reality. At a very frustrating point in time. We had just had our first child. And because I grew up without having a father's presence, when we got pregnant with our first child, one, I was tremendously scared. I didn't think that I would be a good dad. And I didn't feel like I was at a place financially to where I could bring a child into the world. And because this was my truth, I showed up every single day frustrated. And then I had an amazing thing happen. My best friend, his mom, had started, our Optavia program, and she had tremendous results. And she became a coach. And she reached out to my wife and I and said, I know that you guys have been struggling physically. Is this something that you want to try? Well, I wasn't ready to try it because I was a man, because I played college football, because she was 60 years old. I didn't think that her program would work for me. I thought that it was a program for older women. I didn't think it was a program for young 30-year-old men who were once athletes. And so I drugged my feet. I didn't start for another 4 or 5 months, not until the time, I had an event happen. And finally I said, well, what do I have to lose? Let me just try this thing. And then within a matter of 5 weeks, I went from being at my heaviest, over 200 pounds, back down to where I was in high school. I didn't even believe that I could have results like that because I hadn't seen that in such a long time. And then I started hearing stories, kind of like the ones that we're sharing now. I started to see people that were talking about these things that I had no idea was even relevant, certainly not relevant for me, talking about controlling your own time, your own days, and freedom and all this stuff, where I couldn't even imagine that that was something that was possible because that wasn't my reality. But as I did start coaching, which I said I wasn't going to do, and as I started helping a few more people, and as I started to dive into the community, and as I started to really develop myself, and as I started working with my own team of coaches, the women that can now take me and help me and start to help develop a stronger mindset with me, that's where everything changed. So I sit here today, Sunday, June 16th, 2019, a completely different man. I don't check into a job. I don't ask for people for time off. I'm not struggling economically, not even close. In fact, from the blessings that we've had from coaching, we tend to give away per month more than my wife and I earned 7 years ago. So we're in a completely different place because of this opportunity and because of this program. I can now say we have 3 children, not just one. And because of what I've learned and what this program has done for me, someone put on Facebook today, they said, how has, becoming an Optavia coach made you a better father? And I said, oh my gosh, where do I start? The patience, the attentiveness, the confidence, the forward thinking, the lessons that I get to teach them that they'll never find in school. The biggest thing is they see me here at my home office with my wife every single day, and they think that that's normal. I have 2 kids that never have seen their parents work before. And they don't even know that that's not like normal. And so, now my children on this Father's Day, the biggest gift that I could give them is actually being there. I had no time freedom before. And now I can go and do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want. And that has been a blessing that this program has brought to me. So, enough about me. I'll come back in at the end and I'll sort of tie it all together. So how does one go from here all the way to here as in general? But tonight it's all about us fellas, all about us men. And so how does that transformation happen in such a short amount of time? Well, let's hear from some other of the fellas. So I'm going to bring on another Optavia coach, David Harrison, who's had amazing transformation, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, and financially as well. So Dave, can you come share a little bit with us?
Hey, Jamil, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, so much has changed in my life because of this, because of coaching. I was in the military for a long time, so crash dieting and supplements and hitting the gym was always kind of a part of my life, and I thought that's how I thought I was supposed to maintain my weight and meet measurements every 6 months, and it was a bad habit that just carried on throughout my whole career up until I had an accident, got hurt pretty bad. Ended up losing my Navy career because of my injuries. Shattered my pelvis. That meant no gym anymore. Couldn't really crash diet. Was just kind of in a wheelchair hanging out. Went through some surgeries. Was able to walk again after a while. And now my mission was to get this weight off that came on because my habits were bad. At my biggest, I was at 327 pounds, which was no fun. Even tying my shoes or just getting up in the morning, it was just a real struggle. Hopping on this plan, I was really looking for something that was going to get me healthy, because once I was able to walk again, my problem now was I was taking all kinds of supplements, 2 or 3 energy drinks in the morning just to use the restroom, any kind of fat burning pill, cream, lotion. I was trying it. And I was stuck. I was stuck at the same weight for about 1.5 years. Couldn't lose any more weight. I was around 275. That's when I really started looking. A lot of my family was sick. My dad was terminally ill at the time. Me and my mom were the only ones taking care of him. We were really just trying to make him comfortable, and he's no longer here with us. But that that first 30 days on plan, I lost 30 pounds, which just blew my mind. And it wasn't in the gym. It wasn't taking a bunch of supplements. It was really just working on my own habits. You know, like you said, Jamil, a lot of us were stuck, and I was stuck until I changed my habits. Once those habits started changing, you know, the weight started coming off, and I really just wanted to, I wanted to share this with people. You know, the first person was my mom. She herself was suffering with a lot of health challenges, including weight. She hopped on plan with me, and within 5 weeks, she was able to lose almost 40 pounds, and in 8 weeks was 48 pounds. And yeah, there you go. You know, with that 48 pounds, you know, with getting healthy, you know, things changed. Her energy was up. She was feeling way better. She wasn't on a lot of medications anymore. And she was just, it was, you know, it really allowed her to be the wife and that she wanted to be to my dad. You know, with that time he was with us. You know, even when my dad was in the hospital, he was actually sharing this program. And I ended up coaching a couple of his nurses who are still with us, you know, and I think that's just really amazing because of you know, the value of what we have is just so huge. It's just so huge because, you know, some of us are, you know, we started with our health, you know, 30 pounds, and then another 6 weeks, I lost another 52 pounds. I ultimately hit my goal of 185, my healthy BMI, which I never thought I could. I always thought I was, you know, big boned. I don't think I was under 200 pounds since freshman year. So that was huge for me. And not only that, I've been maintaining it for 4.5 years. So that right there is a huge win, you know, and it was, you know, talk about being stuck. I was just stuck and trying to force myself to fall in love with the struggle in health. Just like I was with my finances. You know, before I started coaching, it was a lot of different hours. You know, my hours were all over the place, 10 p.m. till 7 in the morning, doing investigations, different things like that. I was kind of all over the place, and it just really didn't allow me to be the dad I wanted to be. You know, and that was a huge reason for me to start coaching full time, was to be present for my kids. You know, I didn't like finding sitters for them. I didn't like having to ask people to watch my kids. I just wanted to be present. You know, I got tired of prioritizing my schedule and started scheduling my priorities, which was my family, and still is my family. You know, what's really cool with coaching too is it's blossomed into something amazing, just from one person making a change and deciding that, you know, enough is enough, and we're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. After that first wave of helping my family and stuff, and just reaching for bigger stuff, you know, my mindset has changed from, you know, how much I used to live in such a scarcity mindset of just looking for problems, you know, complaining about the present, not really planning a future. And that's something that's definitely scary to think about in the place I was in. But it's really amazing knowing that we're not there anymore. And every day is just, I mean, purpose is an incredible alarm clock. You know, it really is, just for everything in our life. You know, a couple weeks ago, me and my wife were able to go to Maui, which is really amazing. And I don't think that ever would have happened before. It was definitely not something I ever planned in my future. And it was just awesome. You know, we're out there, we're coaching while we're in Hawaii, we're serving others. We're doing it while we're home. We're doing it while we're shopping. We really just love doing it everywhere we go. And, you know, something that's really surprised me with this is the community that you create, you know, the family you get to create, the people you get to meet. And it's just a really huge community of people that are just sick and tired and just found something that can really provide a life of abundance and a life of purpose, and a life of value. You know, I try to ask my kids all the time, you know, how can I be a better dad? What can I do to be a better daddy? And their response all the time is play with us. You know, that's really what they want. It's our time. And you know, we talk about inheritance and what that really is. And it's not our crap. You know, it's not our cars. It's not whatever. It's none of that stuff. It's the values and what they watch us do every day, and how they see us treat people and each other, and what we talk about, you know, what comes out of our mouth. I mean, those are all habits. These are all habits. Things we're saying, things we're thinking, people we're around. They're just habits. They are, and by changing them for the good is it's mind blowing. It really is. It's really amazing.
I love it, man. So, you know, personally, and David, thank you so much for that, because I have seen, you know, David from the very beginning. I think 2013 is when we got going with this, and to see, forget the man that you are right now, the person that you are. It's been a complete shift. But me too. You know, I think when we started on this journey, neither one of us would even recognize ourselves. And that's one of the things that I love, because people come into this program. You and I came in to lose some weight, and I think that we would say that we had no idea what was in store, and just become, you know, amazing, amazing men, amazing fathers, but just way, way better people. So thank you so much for that. I want to introduce you guys to another great man, another great dad, another great Optavia coach, and bring on Josh Bamba and hear a little bit from him and how, you know, this program has really helped him transform, but really have helped him, you know, become the sort of man that he wants to become. So Josh, are you there?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Hello.
Excited to be on, be able to kind of share my story. But I mean, first, I want to wish Happy Father's Day to the dads, stepdads, the single moms. You know, you guys, we're all here kind of raising these kids to be the next leaders of our country, right? So stoked with what you guys do. But I'm going to start kind of way before I actually started my transformation. You know, I was one of those guys that had always been in fairly good shape. High school, college, I was a kid that could eat a large pizza in a sitting, still had the six pack. You know, my metabolism, you know, my activity, it kind of slowed down, but you know, my eating habits, my drinking habits, those things didn't change as I got older. I'm a dad of a 5-year-old, and as a dad, just kind of made the excuse that we're all supposed to have that dad bod. It's something that just happens, right? So I learned, obviously you can see in the picture right there, I learned it's not the way that it needs to be. My health journey actually started about 3 years ago, almost to the date, but we booked a cruise to the Bahamas. We were going on a Disney cruise with our 3-year-old at the time. And that's how it always works too, right? I knew I needed to get healthy for this trip so I could be in shape, so I could look good. So probably 6 months before the trip, I was in the gym 5 to 6 days a week. Really working out hard, you know, hour, 2 hours easily every time. I was spending a bunch of money on proteins, pre-workouts, BCAAs, anything else that I read about that I needed to take to get in shape, right? That's all I ever knew. The way to get in shape is to go work out. All the big corporate gyms have done a good job of brainwashing people all over the years. But although working out is probably one of the healthiest things you could do, it doesn't play much of a factor in weight loss, right? Me, because I was working out, you know, I didn't have any limitation on my food or beverage choices. You know, I wasn't getting the results that I wanted, and it was mainly because of that. Not to mention I was tired all the time, and I'll explain more about my work later, but my sleep wasn't good. You know, life just really wasn't fun at that time. So we went on the trip. We actually had a blast. Yeah, it was like a 4-day Disney cruise out of Florida, but had a great time. But I got back home and I was looking at pictures in my office at work with a buddy, and we're scrolling through and we get to one picture and he looks at me and just says, "Bro, you're fat." You know, a good friend, that's kind of how guys talk, right? That was probably the best insult that I've ever been given in my life, because 3 minutes after he told me that, he actually introduced me to my health coach and he told me about this program. He was kind of my go-to guy when it came to, all right, I'm going to work this and this and this at the gym, or this is the meal program I need. Because it was somebody that I knew and trusted, I hopped on plan right away. I said, all right, perfect, let's do this. I called the wife and said, because she had known who my coach was from high school, and I said, call Justin, let's get started. Believe it or not, I actually started on the 4th of July, 2016. And I know that you guys are probably sitting here thinking, why the heck would you start on the 4th of July? Maybe the 5th would make more sense, right? Well, that's also how desperate I was to make a change. There's a history in my family. My dad's the first person to live past the first guy, sorry, to live past the age of 60 due to health-related diseases, on his side of the family. And I didn't want to be another one of those statistics, right? Now that I had a kid, I knew that I needed to kind of get my health in line. So my first week on plan, we got started. Here we are, July 11th. I was already down 14 pounds. Not only was I down a little bit of weight, but I felt like a different person. Got more energy. I didn't come home from work and need to rest. Right? I would come home and play with my kid. How many dads out there get home from work at the end of the day, hand their kid their phone and say, "Hey, watch YouTube"? That was me. Moving forward, I was able to lose 39 pounds in just under a month. And I do want to say that, the results aren't typical. They are possible. So at first I thought, no way dropping that much weight could be healthy. And then I learned the difference between fat loss and weight loss. And that's kind of where we separate from a lot of other programs where you lose weight quickly. But my main thing that, besides losing the weight quickly, I learned the habits I need to keep that weight off. Here I am almost exactly 3 years later, and I think I'm 3 pounds difference. But on plan, I had better energy. My sleep got better. I was able to think clearer. I was more confident. And that was a big thing with me. Just my confidence. That goes into kind of my personality. Like, I was always the jokester, right? That would put people down or would point things out to break people down because I didn't love myself. I didn't feel good about myself. So I started to actually love and care about myself. I noticed that I started to love and care about people as well. And that's what made me, kind of start wanting to do this whole coaching thing. I heard you can make good money. At the same time, I started having people that were coming to me asking, "What are you doing?" Everyone wants to be healthy, but transforming my body was only the beginning of my life transformation. I didn't know how Optavia was going to change our family. 1 week into starting the program, me and the wife decided we were going to coach. Part of it was because a big reason is I lost a friend to diabetes the day before I started program. And being on plan, I learned how this program helps promote stable blood and glucose levels. And I didn't want anyone else that I loved to go through the hurt that I did. So I was surprised, I came in, wanting to help certain people, but I was surprised that everybody wanted what I have. I do know one thing that we only have one life, we only have one body, and a lot of people really want to get that healthy. They just don't really know how to do it. I'm sure I could speak to most of the guys that life could be tough. We work hard to provide for our families. Most of the time, the only day left to spend with the kids or our wife are the weekends, because we get home late at night, especially if we have kids. I told you I have a 5-year-old. I was getting home at about 5 p.m., and then he would have bath time, so I'd have about 2 hours with him before bed. But I used to be president of the West Coast operations for a publishing company. Not only did I work 40 to 60 hours a week, but I also had a 20-hour commute every week. It was not fun. But by the time I got home, I was exhausted. And I had to carry on full-time dad duty at that point, because at the time, my wife had to work also. She managed a restaurant and a bar. On the outside, our life looked great. We had good paying jobs, a home. We loved our son, great family life. But, if you look inside, it really wasn't great. We both worked hard, but we had opposite schedules. I told you my commute and work hours, but I'd leave at 4 a.m. I'd come home around 5 p.m. I'd meet the wife at the front door, and she would pass our son to me. Every once in a while, I'd get a kiss. Depends if I was in trouble or not. But then she'd head off to work, and she wouldn't get home till 11 or 12. So that was the only time that we saw each other. And I always make the joke, but that's why we have such a good marriage, is because we weren't in each other's business all night. But and that's just a joke. But we made enough to get by. We basically paid the bills. After the bills were paid, we were pretty broke. Right? We had credit cards that were almost maxed out. We didn't have the extra funds or the extra income to start paying those down. So life was rough. That was one of the reasons that we decided to start coaching. and basically see if this, can kind of dig us out of the hole that we had jumped in. But a few months into coaching, we were starting to see that this was the vehicle to a bigger life. Although I was still working, my wife, she was able to cut back her hours, be home a little more. And as a husband, nothing felt worse than not providing 100% for my family. I'd have to see the wife miss out on bath time, on bedtime, and she missed out on the fun and all that kind of stuff. But it's what had to be done to provide, right? So fast forward a year into coaching, I more than exceeded my income at work. I had a cool title, right? President, but I was over the commute and I really just felt like I was the head babysitter, right? I babysat adults. Plus, I didn't feel like I was making the difference that I was put on this earth to make. My mom would always tell me this story. It's usually when I got in trouble. She would say, oh, God came to me in a dream before you were born and told me you were going to do big things. And that was always when I was in trouble. She would tell me this. Being a coach, when people would post on Facebook and say like, Josh, Michelle, you guys saved my life. Like I totally pictured my mom saying that. And I was like, oh, this is what you were talking about, Mom. But the fulfillment or the gratitude that we get as coaches is amazing. So coaching's allowed me to actually leave my job. I'm a full-time stay-at-home dad and stay-at-home husband, right? It's given me the opportunity to live my life around what matters most to me, which is family, right? I went from a weekend husband to a fully present husband. I went from what I felt like was a weekend dad to a fully present dad. I mean, think about this. Now I get to drop my kid off and pick him up, from school every single day, right? How many other people get to do that? That's fun. That's a joy in my life. We go to the park any time of the day. We go to, day games at Angel Stadium, right? I don't need to ask anyone for permission to use my time. Well, I guess, rewind that. I have to ask the wife because she still is the boss. So I do have to ask somebody for permission, but it's not like, my compensation is going to hurt because I want to go spend time with my family. Me and the wife, we've built something that truly provides freedom. Working from anywhere. I've worked from the back of a boat in Havasu. I've worked from the beaches in Costa Rica, St. Martin, the Dominican. Those are just a few, but as long as, I'm able to connect with clients, as long as I'm able to, get online, I can do this anywhere. So what just started as me wanting to lose a couple pounds, it's turned into almost a drive to build a legacy, right? What do I want to build? What stories are my kids' going to tell about me? And thinking about it this way, what difference am I going to make in someone else's life? Am I going to help them get healthier so that they can be around for other generations? What we do as health coaches, we help change family trees. So this ripple effect is truly what's so powerful with this. From two people, me and my wife, saying yes to our own health, it's turned into us in just 3 years, impacting over 4,100 people on their healthy body, right? On their journey to start getting healthier. And that's not even to talk about people coming on to make an additional income, right? We've helped more than 300 people. We're a part of their business. And if you look at the statistics, what they say, 66% of America is overweight. I think it's 80 something is one paycheck away from financial disaster. So we can help both of those groups of people with what we do as health coaches. And the fun part is, yes, you get amazing text messages about someone reaching a goal weight they never thought they could get to. You get messages about, people reducing medications, which is amazing as well. My favorite ones are, people that say like, me and the husband don't fight as much anymore because now we have an additional income. An extra $500 can go so far when it comes to alleviating that stress. But that's just, the last 3 years, what me and the wife have done. And the impact that we really want to make is nowhere close to that. So I want you guys all to ask yourself, what impact do you want to make on the world, on your family, your kids? What legacy do you want to build? What freedoms do you want to have? Listen, guys, my my life wasn't that rough, but it was rough. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to my story. I want you to know that there can be change if it's something you desire. So one thing I'll leave you with is the encouragement to connect with the person that invited you to the call. If anything that I said resonates with you, dad bods don't just happen, right? Not just something that happens because we get older. And getting paid a full-time income for part-time work, it can make a big difference in people's lives, and I know it's worth it. So connect with whoever invited you to the call, whoever shared this with you. We'd love to help you guys.
I love it, man. Thanks so much, Josh. That was powerful. I think the same thing, Josh. It was a couple days ago. I had my daughter's school had invited the dads to come, and I always just kind of look around, and I'm just assessing. I think it's because of my sociology degree, and I just tend to be a people watcher, and I want to see what's happening. But I'm always like, who's here? Who's making up the crowd, especially at really odd times throughout the day, or what the majority of society would say is an odd time. And whether it's at her ballerina class or whatnot, and I'm looking around, and I'm saying, how many dads are here? When I'm sitting at her school, and it's the, let's recognize all the fathers, I'm constantly thinking, who has to rush back to work right now? Who had to ask to be here? whose income is being suffered a little bit because they have to take out an hour and a half to sit here with their child. And I just think about that. Used to be me. I used to be so frustrated that was actually my reality. So physically was super frustrated, mentally, emotionally was frustrated because I didn't have freedom, and certainly was frustrated financially because I couldn't control, I felt like I couldn't control certain aspects of my finances. So I want to move on now to Gabe Garcia, who's a man amongst the world. He's been traveling, but he's got home just in time to spend a little time with us. So Gabe, are you there, my friend?
Yes, sir, I am. How you doing tonight, guys?
Good, man.
All right. Well, happy Father's Day again. Want to reiterate that, especially to the single moms. You're doing it double duty, so a lot of love for you too. Well, like Jamil said, my name is Gabriel Garcia. I'm very fortunate that the gentleman you just heard from is my coach, Josh. I remember the day that this program was introduced to me. I was very reluctant. I wasn't searching anything. I didn't need anything because my life was perfect. Everything was perfect. Josh and my wife have known each other since middle school, and they invited us over for a dinner. And little did I know that it was they were going to break this program down to me because I didn't want to do it. My wife had kind of already suggested this, and she's always been an entrepreneur, and I was a hard worker. That's what I did. I was an employee. I worked hard. I clocked in. I clocked out. And everything was perfect. At least that's what the message that I got across to everyone, because 2 years ago we were coaching. We started coaching. But the year that led up to that was a totally different year. I don't think Josh knew. Maybe he thought that I needed to lose weight. I don't think I did. But I didn't want any part of it because the picture that I had posted to everyone else was that our life was perfect. As far as, perfect, I hate looking at that picture, but you can keep it up there, Jamil, because that's the guy on the right is super handsome now because he believes it. But a year prior to that, I had so many family members, friends, everyone that thought we were the most amazing couple, that we were that perfect family that Jamil talked about, that everything's perfect in their lives. But in our life, that wasn't our reality. As a matter of fact, when everyone said, man, I wish, my wife was like your wife, take her. Because I honestly, at this point, I was literally living in a car because we were separated and no one knew. Not even my children knew. Not even my kids. Go figure that out. It's because I was never home. I would wake up every morning, 5 a.m., and I'd commute round trip every day, about 100 miles, anywhere between an hour and a half to sometimes as much as 3 hours in a car. So by the time I got home, my kids didn't even know, that I never saw them. I literally never saw my kids because maybe I'd glance at them right before they were going to bed, or open up a door and peek in on them. But by this point, I've neglected our relationship. My mindset at that time was my wife was always nagging. I was never enough. I didn't make enough money. These are all the things that I heard in my head to justify the truth that was coming out. But she never once said I wasn't enough. She said I deserved more, but I never believed it. I have the most supportive wife, but I think at that point, our lives had gone so far apart that we literally always respected each other. We never were disrespectful, but we didn't know each other anymore because we were just so busy. She dealt with kids. I worked really hard, and that should be enough. Get off my back. But, here we go. So now I'm living in a car. We're separated. I have a $10 membership to a gym, not to work out because obviously I don't need to lose weight. That was basically a place that I can go shower. I walked into the gym every morning and I ran on a treadmill for 10 minutes just so people didn't see me walk in, take a shower, and walk out. So I ran on a treadmill for a little bit, took a shower, and then I went to work. And that was my life. And my wife and I decided after about 8 months of being separated that we were going to try to work this out. We have 3 small children. And again, we never lost respect for each other. So I think that what really motivated us. And during this whole time, Shelly, my wife, was watching Josh, who you just heard from, and his wife, and saw their transformation. So when they kind of reached out to us, mind you, financially, we hadn't made a mortgage payment in probably 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months. We had zero money. We used to brag to our friends, we don't use credit cards. And that was simply because they were maxed out. That's why we didn't use credit cards. They were maxed out, and everyone thought everything was great, but they're far from it. So when they developed this friendly little dinner, this plan to get me, because I knew that's what it was going to be. It was going to be a get me. I reluctantly said, I'll do it. And that was simply for my wife. And 6 weeks later, I'm down 35 pounds and I'm actually sleeping in my bed. I'm not snoring anymore. I feel a lot better. Work got a lot easier. I didn't have the same stress. It's amazing. 35 pounds. That's literally all it took to make me look at things a little bit differently. And then as I started to dive a little bit more in, mind you, I'm not a health coach. I'm far from it. That's exactly what I was thought the whole time. But as I started to really embrace the program and see what was possible, everyone really started to come to me. And what are you doing? What are you doing? So this little business my wife had started, I started to see like, whoa, maybe there is a possibility, because financially, it really started to bless us, especially since my income had literally been cut almost in half. That's how we got into this whole mess. And little by little, it started to grow. We started to help more people. And then this little business, 2 years later, kind of slapped me in the face again to tell me like, hey, really respect this gift, because it is a gift. And I never really appreciated it really, truly until about 6 months ago when my amazing job that I had let me go. So now this plan B is now plan A. And it's amazing that my wife was excited that I got laid off. Excited. She literally called me. I called her to let her know I got laid off, and she was so excited. And we went out and celebrated, because this business literally has turned our lives completely around. Jimmy, I know Josh talked about, and Jamil walking into 2 places and kind of eyeballing and seeing which dads are around. I get to do that now. I went to science camp for almost a week with my children, and they begged me to come because there's not enough fathers. If I didn't go, this trip was going to be canceled. I mean, that blew me away, that what an opportunity. I mean, something so simple as science camp. I'm on a 3-week jury panel right now, and you know how amazing jury duty pays. And she was excited. My wife's excited that I am unemployed, because of what this business has done to us or done for us. And this health coaching became just such a blessing when we were able to start seeing those changes in other people's lives and our family and our friends, because I know there's a lot of people that are just like my wife and I that have that perfect, family picture. Everything's great, but it's not always like that. And it truly is amazing to hear, clients and who will now become friends, because again, this is like my healthy family. I just got back from a great trip to Catalina Island, and that I bought a boat. I would never buy a boat. This is just so many blessings. And now I'm able to, my kids see me more active. They're so happy that daddy's around. Daddy's not going to work, that everyone's excited just to have me around. And I am starting to really love that myself, because this is something I grew up, my father worked hard, my mom worked hard, they went to work, they clocked in, because I never dreamt of a life like this. It was not possible. It's for somebody else, not for me. 100%. That happens to them, not me. And now I'm actually living it. Yes, and there is times that it is a struggle, because mentally, I think I've lost more weight. Oh, by the way, I'm down over 60 pounds. The guy who said he didn't need to lose weight. But I think the majority of my weight was mental. And once I really started to practice what I preach, everything changed. And my life is in a place where I never would have thought 2 years ago you'd tell me that I'd be sharing my story in front of people. It's truly a blessing. And I'm just thankful that every day I get to help other people, literally just help other people that were in my shoes, and let them know that they matter and there is a different life, and life can be different. I promise you, I didn't see that vision, and now I actually get to help people, reach that goal. Thank you guys for having me on. Appreciate you.
It's amazing, man. Wow, what an incredible story. Thank you so much, Gabe. And just back in the nick of time to share that with us. And I'm appreciative, because I know there's so many people that are watching this and will watch this, and I know a lot of them are not men. But I'm so appreciative that we're actually being this forthright, because I know that there's other people on the other end. Gabe, if I was listening to this 7 years ago, I would at minimum look into this after hearing what you just shared, because that was me. I was on the verge of divorce, very, very frustrated. We were trying to figure out, are you going to move to the apartment down the street from our current apartment so that we don't have to travel too far back and forth to see the kid? I mean, and that's real life. And I think the biggest transformations come actually up here, as you said, even though, we probably all started because we were looking for physical health. So I love it. Well, I want to bring on, last and certainly not least, Andrew Kidd. And Andrew and I, along with a ton of other friends, got a chance to cruise in the Caribbean just a few months ago. And we spent some time, and we were just talking out on the deck. And it was just incredible to hear where he was, and now to see the man that he is now in this special Father's Day edition. As I was putting this together, and we were talking about who are we going to bring on to have them share their story and their testimony, his name definitely came up as one of the first that we thought would bring tremendous amount of value. So, Andrew, my friend, are you there, and can you share with us to wrap it up for us?
Yeah, I think we could have ended right on Gabe, man, because his story, it gets me every time. Every time his wife tells the same story, it's just like, wow. So anyways, first of all, I just want to say that I never had a weight problem until I got married and had kids. I was in wrestling, high school wrestling, football, Army from 1998 to 2002, get married to my beautiful wife, have some kids, and then I became a private investigator. And that has got to be the most sedentary job alive, where you sit in a car for 12 hours a day, you commute ungodly hours, you travel, you eat from gas stations, you're a fast food addict. And the same things don't apply when you're in high school and you're wrestling or you're in the Army, because I don't have time to exercise. I don't even have the energy. I barely have time to spend time with the family when I get home. So that's kind of where I was. I'd gone from 200 pounds, fresh out of the Army, in excellent shape, to 285 pounds in 2017. It just kind of slowly crept on. And so at that time, I was snoring so loud that I wake myself up at night, pretty much nightly. I was just so fat that I just wasn't comfortable in bed, or wasn't comfortable in my own skin, or even the clothes that I wore. And I wasn't the same man that my wife had married, 15 years ago. So the only reason I even found this program was because, well, in all honesty, it started with Jamil 7 years ago. And then because of Jamil, Josh found this program. And because Josh found this program, my sister-in-law found this program. And she had lost 60 pounds on this program. And the only reason I even entertained, because I didn't even know what Optavia was, even I entertained the conversation, was because she was my sister-in-law and I trusted her. And so she would kind of tell us a little bit about it. Andrew should try it. This is what we do. And I had tried other things. I never learned anything. So I'd always gain the weight back no matter what we did. And Josh and his wife live in Southern California. They came up to vacation because they're health coaches and they could work from anywhere. And on their way to Leavenworth, Washington, they had dinner with us. And I'm a private investigator, so I interrogated them for an hour about this program. And because I'm the most skeptical person ever. And by the end of it, I was like, I told my wife, I think we should do this. I think this could work. And I got emotional about it for some reason. I didn't get emotional about other things that I've done in the past, but I hadn't even done it yet. And I'm like, this thing's going to work. I don't even know why. And so we started this thing January 17th, or I started, lost 23 pounds my first month. Didn't tell anybody I was on the program. I didn't want to jinx it. I just wanted to does this thing even work? And I had lost it. And we put this program on a credit card because, like Gabe, we were in financial stress. We make good money, but it's all spent and it's all credit card up and there's nothing extra. And so basically to save my life, we put it on a credit card. Not that this thing's expensive. It's just that's where we were financially. We didn't have anything left over. And Josh had said, and his wife, Michelle, said, you guys should consider health coaching. And the only reason I even considered it was, hey, we could pay for this thing. We could pay for what we're doing and have it be a wash. And so we did. After a month, I became a health coach. My wife jumped on a couple months later with me. And we just started helping my mom, some other family members, I think another friend. And before I knew it, I was actually paying for my program that I was on. But in that meantime, from day one to 4 months and 3 weeks, I had lost 75 pounds. I didn't snore anymore. I had more energy than I ever had before. I loved the way I looked in the mirror again. I liked to be able to go shopping for clothes that I never would even entertain, never walk into certain stores. They would never have anything I'd fit in. And I started feeling good about myself. I ended up losing 94 pounds overall. And my wife has seen me, she never saw me at that weight. She married me at 2-something. And here I am at like 184 pounds and she'd never seen me this. And I'm a different person. I think differently. And here we am being these health coaches. My wife is health coaching with me during this time. And it went from just paying for my food to tripling my PI income. And we'd fallen in love with just helping people. We're addicted to it. When you get to talk to somebody and they're like, oh my God, I just lost 100 pounds. It's been 4 months. Like, it's fundamentally changing their life. People are losing weight. And I just talked to one of our clients the other day and she says, I'm lighter than I was when I married my husband. And we've been married for such and such amount of years. And this happens in 4 months. And what they can dream about happening changes. Their paradigm, this word that I never even used before this program, this paradigm, the way they look at the world is changing. What's possible? And so anyways, this is kind of what's happening with us. I don't have to be a PI anymore. I keep it on my board. The last invoice I ever sent out was January 24th, 2019. That's the last time I had to work a PI case. I'm still licensed. I still have my business license. But one of the things that this thing has done for us is it's this time freedom where I get to be a present dad. I get to take my kids to school. I get to be at their graduation thing that they're going to have on Monday. I get to be at the award ceremony on Wednesday in the middle of the day. I don't have to take any time off. As a private investigator, if I'm working for a company, I got a week off a year or maybe 2 weeks off a year. That's all I deserved. Working the whole entire year. That's all you get, Andrew, is you get 2 weeks to do something with your family. Have fun with that. And now, like Jamil said, we're on a cruise together. I'm still working, but I'm having a blast. I'm still supporting clients. We're having a blast. If you would have told me in 2017, like, oh, by the way, Andrew, in 2019, you're going to be a health coach, I feel like you're out of your mind. I've been a private investigator for 17 years. I teach this. This is what I teach. I don't know what health, what? I'm 285. What do I know about anything, right? And then here we are, my wife and I, we're helping to inspire others to lose weight and get healthy and just be better people. And I'm a better person. And so I wrote down some things, and I'm going to try to go through this because usually when I talk about what it's done for our life, I get very emotional. So try to keep my crap together here. I've never had an occupation where my entire being is about being better to serve others. That's my job, to serve others, and not just on the program, but with our finances. We get to give more than we've ever given in our life. Our kids get to watch us every day to see how we're trying to be better people. We're literally investing money in just to being better versions of ourselves. And in that, I get to be a better husband to my wife. I'm way more present. As a PI, I was traveling all over the state. I'd be gone for a week at a time sometimes. Sometimes I'd be in other states working. And that was such a stress on the family. And now it's not like that. There's no stress. I take the kids to school. I pick them up. She doesn't have to worry about that. It just gets done. I'm here. So we're always getting to be better. Jamil mentioned this earlier. We were on the ship together, and we're having this really deep conversation about Optavia and what we're doing in this thing. And my daughter is always listening. She's in our area always. Even when I do client calls, she's sitting on just outside the camera listening to our conversations. And here she is. Jamil and I are talking deep stuff with my wife, and Jamil turns to her and says something that I can't remember the exact word. It was basically something like, how has this program changed your family or changed your family's life? And my daughter starts crying. I start crying. And she says something to the effect of, it's made my parents so much happier. And that, to sum up this entire experience, which I would have never, I'm the most skeptical guy in the world. Even I became a health coach and I was skeptical about the program. And then I got to see the heart of this company and the people involved in the company, Jamil, Josh, the people that, the way ups, the CEOs, if you would just hear the way they talk and what this company is all about, it changed my whole view of what this is all about. And it's changed me and my wife. So if you're seeing this, there's no mistake why you're seeing these videos. And I would be shocked if not one of these men that have been on this thing there hasn't been a story that's resonated with you or touched you in a way to where you just need to hear more about it. So you might be here because you're like, oh my gosh, I need to get healthier. Fantastic. There's a person that invited you to this. Go back to them and say, just tell me what it's about. Or maybe you're an existing client of this program and you know how amazing it is. And maybe you're here to listen about what coaching could do for you. Talk to that person and say, let's just explore what that might look like. You don't have to do anything, but at least just hear them out. You've heard all these men talk about it, of what it's done for their lives. You could have never convinced me in 2017 it would have done what it's done for our lives. It's made me a better father, a better husband. Again, I work on myself daily to be better for just everybody. I'm just gonna leave you guys with that. This is just, if I really told you every little bit of pieces of things that has changed in my life, I would be on here an hour. No one would have time to talk but me. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Thank you guys for letting me talk. Yeah, bye.
I love it. Wow, powerful. I think you said we could have stopped at Gabe. No way, man. We need to hear that. Plus, because I haven't cried today, and since we're all men on here, nobody else is watching. It's just us five, right? I think it's okay for us to cry together. That was so powerful because I think it was so real. And I don't know where we were, if we were in the, Dominican or St. Martin or wherever we were when we were on that ship. But that was a powerful night but I call that the Optavia effect. And it wasn't the first, I could feel it, and I could feel your daughter's presence and her energy and her frequency and what it's meant to her. And it was powerful. So, as we wrap up here, I feel like we could just go all night. But I think that we're up at the hour. So I know people are watching and they're like, okay, I hear these stories. I believe you. I just don't know how. How the heck did you go from that to this? How did you make that transformation? And I'm going to keep it really simple. Generally, our how is, in my opinion, is perfect. But generally, it's your why. Why are you going to decide to make a change? For me, I showed up at an event because I was running away from a failing marriage, and I started to hear stories like this, and I started to get inspired. I started to have hope. I started to get inspiration, and I said, never again am I going to walk another day feeling the way that I used to feel, having no time freedom the way I used to have, and living and leaving my financial legacy in somebody else's hand. This is where the buck stops. It's going to end here, and everything else is going to change. I was 31 at the time, and I said by the time I'm 42, I will be completely free, and my life isn't going to look normal like other people's life. Now I'm 38, and I would say that we're ahead of schedule. So our how is perfect, but really it comes down to your why. Why are you even watching this video? Why are you going to make a change? And what is it going to take? What is that decision that's going to need to be made? Because we're all standing here as men. We all desire to do better. We all desire to show up better for our family and for our kids. This is a special Father's Day edition. And I feel like as a country, I feel like we're losing our men. And what I know is that our program can help restore the quality of men that we used to see. And it can touch every single community. Everyone who wants to can absolutely do it. So our how is pretty simple. The first thing is everyone has support. They have a coach. They have at least one coach, if not a ton of other coaches. But they have a coach when they come in and they're looking for physical health, and if they decide to start coaching, then they have a business coach. You don't need to know how. You just need to trust and follow and let somebody take you by the hand. It is that simple. You tell people what your issues are, they show you how to get out of it. It's that simple. The second thing is our habits of health. You've heard more of these men tonight talk about how they have changed mentally. Did you know that the way that you think is a habit? So I used to think with a lack of scarcity and a poverty mindset. Now I don't. And once I start to learn how to control my habit of poor thinking, even I used to think that earning 6 figures a year was good. Now I think earning 6 figures a week is good. Like, look, my whole mindset is changed. That is a habit of thinking. So part of what we do is we actually learn how to think, which is probably important. But so few people do it these days. The other thing is you get a community. You get a lot of people that, again, they just expect things to happen differently. And when you're constantly around that sort of support and inspiration and motivation, it starts to play an effect on you. And you start to change. And then the last thing is we have a really, really simple eating structure. We have lots of different plans for lots of different people to keep your body in shape. We around here, we talk about lead with your health first. And we just have really easy ways of doing that, to where in your chaotic life right now, you dads, I'm talking to you. I know other people are watching this, but I'm talking to you men who work hard every single day. You got a chaotic life right now. You're not eating properly. We got to fix that. You're probably not drinking enough water. We got to fix that. You're probably not sleeping very well. We got to fix that. You're probably stressed out to the max. We got to fix that. We know how to fix it. And so part of it is making it a little bit easier for you. So if something tonight has resonated with you men, you found yourself married to one of these men's stories. Maybe you're where I was 7 years ago. Maybe you're where Andrew was at 2 years ago. then I would strongly encourage you to get with the person that invited you to this special Father's Day webinar tonight and at least get more information. I think all of us started skepticals, and I think all of us are believers now. And so, you know, maybe that plays a story. And maybe in 2021, you're speaking on something like this with a whole mission and vision to now say, look, man, if it could happen for me, it can absolutely happen for you. So thank you guys for being panelists tonight. Thank you guys for sharing your Father's Day with us. And my spirit is talking to me right now. I know someone's going to change. I know that for a fact. But my goal is to have this be shared around the world for all of those men that have lost hope tonight, because that's where I was 7 years ago. Love you guys. We'll talk to you later.